Whew. What is going on, everybody? This is the DFO Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. It is Sunday, February 11th. I am Josh. It is miserable outside, but there's still some hockey today, so um, had a good finish. Actually, I had a good NHL line last night as well, but I had a good finish in the MMA fight to the finish. Just want to give a quick shout out. I do a lot of my own MMA research, and I think in any sport, if you're going to research, if you're going to play DFS, you should do your primary research. But thinking that you're the best will get you into trouble. So sometimes the more information, the better. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Brett Apley over at Roto Grinders. His MMA package is easily the best out there, and he's definitely made me a better player. So figured with the platform that I have, with all the viewers that I get on my show, I figured I'd give him a shout out. He's on Twitter at Brett Apley. So yeah, if you're into MMA and you need, some more assistance, definitely check out his premium package. It is top of the line for sure. So yeah, let's hop into NHL. I used the Kadri line. I also picked the wrong Sharks line. I used the Couture line instead of the Pavelski line. I still finished with 50 DK points and had a 3x return, but if I used the right Sharks line, I probably would have locked up thank you. I probably would have locked up a seat to the live final, but I was fairly convinced early that I was going Couture over Pavelski. It is what it is. I can't tilt about it because I never strongly considered the Pavelski line. Yeah. So we have a 5-gamer. Let me load it up on my phone. I stopped using my computer because my computer is just the worst. The first game of the night, we have the Buffalo Sabres the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, Columbus was really good as well. I think you could have made some noise with. The problem was Burns didn't really do anything. So if you went like Columbus, Toronto, you probably would have fell into Burns, I would imagine. But either way, there was a lot of good last night. So the first game of the night, we have the Colorado Avalanche traveling to Buffalo to face the Sabres. News here is Eichel is out. He has another high ankle sprain. And that sucks for Buffalo. That most certainly ended their already ended season. But that being said, I do like Buffalo too tonight. Ryan O'Reilly, Okposo, Vander Kane. They're really cheap. They're definitely the go-to line now for Buffalo with Eichel out. They're literally the only line with Eichel out. So if Buffalo's going to have any offense at all, it's going to be from that line. So if you need a cheaper-ish line, I think that is one to go there. Yeah, the thing with Kane is even if he was sucking and wasn't scoring, he was always shooting, and then that he just stopped shooting. So he's so much better when he just shoots the puck all the time. So I think there's definitely merit to going in with Buffalo tonight. At least that line. I mean, I don't. You really want to use depth lines of Buffalo, on a 5-gamer, even on a 2-gamer, I would struggle to use Johan Larson. Where's Avery? Avery's at his mama's today. Daddy had some time to himself. If you know what I'm saying, had a date. That's why I'm hung. Look, if you can't tell, I am hungover as fuck right now. But yeah. So they are playing the Avs, and Buddha. Come on, Buddha. Buddha just replied to my daily fantasy show tweet saying NASCAR is on. No one wants to see cars going left before the Daytona 500. I know the Clash, like all the GPPs failed, and I was meaning to play them, but I ended up not. So today we're playing hockey. Next week, next Sunday, NASCAR Daytona 500 will rock and roll. I don't kiss and tell. Yes. Anyway, mommy shark doo 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 doo. The top line for I hope she's not watching. The top line for Colorado is really cheap tonight, and it's interesting because Buffalo sucks. Like, they're bad. And now they don't have Eichel. So they're probably just going to be like, well, we might as well tank now. So I kind of do like that top line. It is really, really cheap now that Colin Wilson's on there. Kerfoot, Landeskog, Colin Wilson. It's really, really cheap. So if you're like trying to jam in wow, some really expensive stuff, I don't mind like a Kerfoot, Landeskog, Tyson Berry type deal. Again, this is a really hard game to analyze because Colorado hasn't been terrible since McKinnon's gone out, but they haven't been good. The offense has been lacking. The problem is, like, Buffalo, they really started picking it up finally, but now their best player is hurt, and that's just going to take the win completely out of the sails. So this either can be like a really open hockey game where it's like a 4-3, or both teams just don't give a fuck, and it's just like a slow dump and chase type of game. And that is what worries me a bit. But that being said, I think the Buffalo line, the Ryan O'Reilly line, easily is my favorite line from this game. So I may have some exposure to it in my one lineup. I haven't built yet, but we'll definitely see. Let me see who's in net. Working from my phone, it goes quicker. Goalies are not confirmed for Buffalo or for Colorado. I don't even know who. I doubt Chad Johnson's going back to back. It's probably going to be Robin Leonard at 7,200, and I think that's a decent GPP play. It's just shot volume's always the issue with Colorado, but the way they split up their lines, they didn't really load the top line. They moved Mikko Rantanen down to the second line with JT Compher, who I like as well. So they're a bit more balanced. So I think Leonard's a decent GPP play for sure. I don't know if I want to pay 8,100 for Varlamov. I'm pretty sure Varlamov played yesterday, so it's probably going to be Bernier. I don't know if I want to pay 8,100 for Bernier. I could definitely see some merit to it because Buffalo is just one line. So if you're using Colorado, I think you can correlate there. But I think there's better options on the slate. So let's move on to the second game of the night. It's going to be Boston Bruins on a back-to-back, traveling to New Jersey to face the Devils. If you faded Boston last night, you definitely probably won some money as long as you had the right Toronto line. or the right Columbus line, or the right Sharks line, or Devin Dubnyk. It's going to be Anton Khudobin, and I don't know if Keith Kincaid's going to go on a back-to-back, or it's going to be Eddie Black. Listen, the Boston 1 price did come down over $1,000. I think people are going to sour off them today just because so many people got burned. I'm not saying they're going to have low ownership. I still think they're going to be fairly chalky because they're getting New Jersey on a back-to-back. It's either going to be Kincaid on a second game in a row or Eddie Lack, who has had, who's played, like 3 games this season. So I definitely think there's some merit going back to Boston 1 today, especially if you're making multiple lineups. If you are soured about using them yesterday and they didn't do shit for you, and you want to still fade them, you still want to go on the fade train, I completely understand. It is a back-to-back on the road for Boston. But there's a bunch of teams on a back-to-back today. New Jersey's still on a back-to-back. This whole game is a back-to-back. So, and New Jersey was on the road yesterday, so they had to travel home. Not that it's a far ride or anything, but you still have to travel. It's still annoying. You still get in late. You still go to sleep late. You still have to get up early. But yeah, I think there's better spots for me. Excuse me. Than Boston 1, but if you're on them and you want to use them, I still think they're an elite play today. Again, I don't know if you really need to go to the second line of Boston tonight. I understand if you still want to use them. I just think for the price, there's much better options for $14,000. There's a bunch of other line stacks that are right around there. Again, the New Jersey goalie situation is enticing the stack again. So obviously, if you want to use depth of Boston 2, Boston 3, I think that's in play as well. I'm just gonna, I think with the short slate there are better options. However, because it's a short slate and there's better options, Boston 2 and Boston 3 will be a lot lower owned. So on the New Jersey side, I'm not really. I know it's Anton Khudobin. He's been playing okay recently. I don't think he's a great goalie. I think he's a serviceable NHL backup. But I just don't really like New Jersey today. They can easily fall behind in this game 3-0. Like I can see them falling behind 3-0 in like 17 minutes, and then just kind of pack it in and just kind of mail it in until like the third period where they have like one burst energy and score like a random like Stefan Noesen goal, and then they get going and they maybe get within one, but then Boston has 7 empty net goals because that's how it always happens. That's my amazing analysis of the New Jersey Devils today. I'm just not really interested in the Devils. On defense, if you want to use like a John Moore or a Sammy Vatanen, Will Butcher, I think that's okay. Like in teams that I'm not really interested, I'm still generally interested in their D-men because I think that the other team's going to win, so there's going to be a decent shot at block shots in this game, and when teams kind of fall behind, you have a tendency to see the defensemen shoot the puck a lot more from the point, so you can get nice punt defensemen getting decent production. So let's move on to the next game of the night where I think there's going to be a lot of ownership. It's going to be the Calgary Flames traveling to New York to face the Islanders. It is going to be Miguel Smith against Yaroslav Halak. Holy crap. How bad did the Red Wings just... First of all, that Tyler Bertuzzi game match penalty was complete bullshit. Like, just garbage. Like, okay, he whacked him in the leg, but, like, Cal Clutterbuck should have won a fucking Oscar for his performance there. They call it, like... Quick rant. We're going to have a quick rant here. So you know what I hate the most about the penalties in the NHL is the tripping. Is me too. I was on Detroit too that day too, and they sucked. Um, is the tripping embellishment call? Like it's either one or the other. You can't have a trip and someone embellish a trip when they got tripped. How did Cal Clutterbuck not get an embellishment penalty there? The dude was flopping around like a fish out of water, and then he was back on the ice in the next shift. And then the Islanders score 4 fucking power play goals in 4 minutes and 40 seconds, which is ridiculous, to take the lead. And then they blew the lead. God, that game was ridiculous. Matty Barzal is something. That dude is legit. Anyway, let's get to this game here. Calgary won. Bit expensive. Like them regardless. They're going to get Tavares. It doesn't matter. If you've ever watched, like the most games I've watched this year from any team are the Islanders. They are so bad defensively. Like it's not even funny how bad defensively they are. So for me, Calgary 1, Calgary 2, both in play for me. You want a power play stack, you want a Josh stack, 6-man stack if you're new to the show. The thing with Calgary, it's kind of hard to Josh stack because there's plenty of ways to do it. Push comes to shove. Maybe you'll leave like a Frolik off and you add a Dougie Hamilton. You leave a Furland off, add Dougie Hamilton. Yeah, Travis Hamonic revenge. It's not really revenge. Like the only reason he requested a trade, I don't think he was unhappy with the Islanders. I just think he needed to be closer to home because he was having family issues. So it was good on the Islanders to get him out to Calgary. One of the good things they've ever done in that organization. So yeah, Calgary 1 and 2 definitely in play. I prefer to get Dougie Hamilton in it if I could. Mike Giordano not as bad. TJ Brody, okay. Now on the flip side here, the Calgary PK has been strangely it's been bad, and I don't know why, but that doesn't matter. Islanders top line is in play for me. They are about the same price as the Calgary top line. You put a gun to my head, I'd probably play Calgary 1 before I play New York Islanders 1. You want to go back to the Matty Barzal line, okay. The problem I have with it there, with Barzal coming off a 5-point game, is the ownership of that line is just gonna be inflated, and I'd rather use Calgary 1, Calgary 2, and New York Islanders 1 before I got to the second line of the Islanders. That being said, I have no issue with the Islanders second line. It's just my 4th favorite line in that game. If you want to use Leddy or Boychuk, I think those are the best options on the Islanders' defense. Pulak is okay. Just got to make sure he's still on the power play with Boychuk back. Goalies in this game, it's always hard to use goalies in this game. I will say if you're using Islanders, I think you can take a stab with Halak. He is the better goalie on the team, and you know that Calgary is getting them off 40 shots tonight. Yeah, I don't mind a Tavares Bailey mini as long as you, I mean, if it's just gonna be those two, that's fine. I mean, when I like to mini, I like to use a defenseman as well. It's just something that I like to do. Like a Tavares Bailey Leddy. Yeah, that's thumbs up for me, for sure. So what was I talking about? Oh, using Halak and GPPs. I know it's scary, but you know that Calgary's getting 40, 45 shots. Like no one in the NHL gives up more shots than the Islanders. It's just the way of the land for how bad they are. You'd hope they're going to be a little bit active at the trade deadline. I mean, they have two of the most dynamic centers in the NHL with Tavares and Barzal, but it's the Islanders. Mike Smith, I think, if you're Josh stacking, 6-man stacking, or even power play stacking the Flames, it does make the most sense to correlate your goalie there and use Mike Smith. If you're scared of that game, you think it's going to be a massive high-scoring game, obviously you can go elsewhere for goalie. But if if I'm going to Josh stack the Flames today, I'm not 100% sure of using Mike Smith. That's where I stand. And I always correlate goalies if I 5-6 power play stack a team. So I have to dig into that matchup a little bit more before I am comfortable plugging in Mike Smith. And it's funny, on this main slate, the two teams or the two lines with the highest expected goals, Calgary won, New York Islanders won. So goalies in this game, it could be frightening. So, but yeah, let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Philadelphia Flyers traveling to Vegas to face the Golden Knights. It is gonna be, Subban's on the IR, isn't he? I would imagine it's Marc-Andre Fleury. And I think Elliott got hurt, so it's definitely going to be Neuwirth for the Flyers. He came in relief late. I don't want to say I told you so because that would be a dick move, but I did have concerns, mostly about the price. But I'm wrong a lot of the time too. I just happen to be right about that one. If you watch my show a lot, and I know you do, when teams go into Arizona, it's always a tough place to play. I am always wrong. I'm wrong more than I'm right, but it's tough for me to use teams going into Arizona. They're a completely different team at home than they are on the road. They're more physical. They play better defense. I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't like sleeping in hotel beds. Who knows? Maybe they miss all their. Who knows? I'm not even conjecture. Anyway, Wild Bill line tonight. They're right around the same price as Calgary and New York Islanders won. I kind of like Vegas just slightly better than the Islanders top line. I think, Philly on a back-to-back on the road is something that you like to exploit, even if it doesn't work for you. I hate saying this, like, oh, the process was good. The process was good. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck the process. Like, if you're wrong, you're wrong. You're right, you're right. But, like, one of the things that I like to do is attack a team that's back-to-back on the road because they're going to get tired. Especially like a veteran team like the Flyers. They're probably flying back after this game. They may just go through the motions. Who knows? But I do like Las Vegas, the top line, the Wild Bill line, a little bit better than the Islanders top line tonight. I still think for the price, I still think Calgary is a bit better play. But yeah, that's my feelings on that. I think, the second line of Vegas is also in play. I am not a big fan of the Holla-Perron Neal line. It's just weird. Like, I'm not sure because I think a lot of the ownership is going to be on Calgary, New York. So I think Vegas does fly under the radar a little bit. And let me get to my point about Vegas too is like, I loved using Eric Holla when he was on the wings and he was like 3,700 and he was on the third line and he would just produce. Even though I have no issues paying 6,800 for Wild Bill. I have issues paying like 6,000 for Eric Hall. I don't know why. It's like it's got to be like a mental block. I do. It's probably because I like Marchessault and Riley Smith more than I do James Neal and David Perron. But people have been on me like, "Oh, you aren't very high in that line," and it's true. Their underlying numbers aren't great, but they have been producing, so I think they're in play as well. I mean, they're a little pricey now. They're about 18,000 the full stack, so I'd rather pay up for the Vegas top line. But if you're on the Hall line, I think it's a decent play. Yeah, that's what people have been telling me. They like to use Vegas 2 on the road, and I think that's a fair play. Uh, at home, I do like using the top line a lot more. On the flip side of this game, I don't have much interest at all in playing Philadelphia. Um, going into Vegas, like you wouldn't even like you're beginning of the season, you're like, oh, they're expansion team. People are just gonna mop the floor with Vegas. That is one of the toughest places to play in the NHL. That place is rowdy. It's always sold out. It's an awesome atmosphere. Um, Philadelphia one's still expensive. I'd rather use a Calgary. I'd rather use a Winnipeg, or not Winnipeg, excuse me, uh, a Vegas, Islanders, a Calgary, teams like that. Before I'd rather use like San Jose before I got to Philadelphia. Back to back on the road, not something I'm super interested in, especially in a tough matchup like this. Blue line for the Golden Knights, Shea Theodore, Colin Miller, Nate Schmidt, all in play. Hookers and cocaine. Um, I mean, who's not into that? um, Goalies in this game, Marc-Andre Fleury, 8,200 is a bit pricey for me. However, like a broken record, I like attacking teams back-to-back on the road, so I think you can use him in GPPs if you have the salary. Neuwirth at 7,100 is interesting because I always do like cheap goalies, and he is a decent cheap goalie. It does worry me that the team's on a back-to-back, but if you're fading Vegas and you need a cheapie, I think I could take a stab there. I wouldn't be thrilled about it, and I wouldn't do it in one lineup. If you're making multiple lineups, I'd have a little bit of exposure to Neuwirth. But other than that, that's that on that game. So let's move on to the last game of the night. We have the San Jose Sharks traveling to Anaheim. Super long trip. What is it, like 40 minutes maybe? Traveling to Anaheim to face the Ducks. Sharks are in a back-to-back. I think it's going to be, I would imagine it's John Gibson. What's going on? I think, at home, the Carlson line gets the better matchup. I always miss you, Jermaine. On the road, you're going to get the home team setting out their best defensive unit against that top line. So the second line generally gets lesser matchups. So let's move on to that last game of the night. Sharks, Ducks. I would assume it's going to be Gibson against Martin Jones. And someone just said that the Sharks have been really bad defensively, and that is definitely true. Again, we have another line priced right around 19,000. Like, all these top lines are the same price. So, like, no problem, Maddie. Ownership's going to be pretty spread, I think. Just from a price perspective. Anaheim top line, definitely in play. I really like that top line. Especially with Martin Jones in that. He has a... I like all the Anaheim tonight. Especially Martin Jones has like an 898 save percentage since December 31st. So, yeah. Let me if I can actually click on this here. There we go. Getzlaff, Raquel, and Corey Perry. Definitely like them. Second line, Kessler, Cogliano, Silfverberg. I can get on board with that. I'm not a huge Cogliano guy. He is only 3,300, so what? He needs like an assist and a shot on goal, which is what he usually does anyway. But for me, it's gonna be Anaheim 1. And I kind of, well, Anaheim 2, Anaheim 3 are about the same price. I'm not a Richie guy, so I mean, if you're going to use the third line, I think you go Henrique, Case. That's not how you pronounce it. I have to say that every time. And like a Lindholm mini. Yeah. But I do like Lindholm. I like Fowler. If you need a punt, Montour is not terrible. But I think this is a Ducks game. On the Sharks side, better back-to-back on the road. I mean, if you want to go back to a Sharks line, I think this is the night for the Couture line. I'm going to hold strong there. I would imagine the Getzlaff line gets matched up against the Pavelski line. Or whatever, if it's Kessler, whichever one they put out as a top defensive. It's tough attacking the Ducks. Like, they're a good defensive team. So I'm not all about going after the Sharks. I think this is a good game to roll out Johnny Gibson. He is 8,000, but short slate, I think it's okay. But yeah, let me just pull something up real quick here. But yeah, for me, it's Anaheim 1, then Anaheim 2, and a little Anaheim 3 mini Henrique case with like a Lindholm or a Montour. If you can fit Fowler, I think that works as well. Let this load up real quick. Okay. Yeah, whatever. This is a good one to get in Gibson, I think. For me, I don't know if you need to go to Brett Burns again tonight. I know he had a bad game yesterday. It's an expensive price to pay on a back-to-back. I mean, obviously, if you get there, it's fine. Yeah. So I'm kind of down on the Sharks tonight. This is a Ducks game for me. So that is the 5-game slate. Any questions before I get out of here? How much do I weigh? I don't know. Weight is just the number. It's how you look in the mirror. What's my bold prediction? Let me see. Bold prediction. John Gibson gets a shutout. There you go. All right, guys. If you don't have any more serious questions, I am out of here. I'm not sure how many. Did I win an MMA last night? I finished 5th in the final. I was duped twice, so I won 4,000 plus the other GPP stuff. I put it up on my Twitter if you want to see JRH002DFS. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow if the slate is big enough. Thank you. If the slate is big enough, if it's 3 or more games, I'll have a show. I haven't looked yet. So good luck tonight. Hope you guys win money, and we'll see you tomorrow.